Hello, I'm Marlene Fernandez. I'm an interpreter trainer here at the Masters in Conference Interpreting at the University of La Laguna. I'm also a public service interpreter trainer and an interpreter myself. And in addition, I'm conducting a research about remote interpreting and in particular telephone interpreting. As you may know, remote interpreting is a type of interpretation in which either the interpreter or the other participants are in a remote location. It can be carried out via telephone or through a video conference system. In the case of telephone interpreting, it is carried out over the phone and the interpreter is usually at a remote location. This means that the interpreter cannot see anything. He or she has no access to any visual information about the encounter. He cannot see what's going on the other side of the line. Many people are skeptical about telephone interpreting because of this very reason. If the interpreter cannot see, how can he or she render a quality service? This obviously is a difficulty for interpreters. It is true that there is not much research about remote interpreting, but recent studies seem to indicate that this difficulty can be overcome with a specialized training. So the main conclusion here is that telephone interpreters need a specialized training to develop a certain set of skills and become professionals and offer a quality service. There is another reason why many people are against or are skeptical about telephone interpreting, and that is its cost effectiveness. Telephone interpreting is very cheap. Public services, when they implement it, they do it because they do not have to pay travel expenses to interpreters to go to the place where the interpretation takes place, or they do not have to pay the interpreter while they wait to interpret. It is true, let's face it, that is the reason why public services are implementing telephone interpreting all over the world. However, this does not mean necessarily that it cannot be carried out professionally and with quality. But as I said, I believe that a specialized training is necessary. For these reasons, many people think that telephone interpreting will end up replacing face-to-face interpreting. I think telephone interpreting is like the internet. It's an extraordinary tool, but it's true that it might be misused in certain occasions. I do not think that it will replace face-to-face interpreting, but it's true that it might be used in certain occasions where a face-to-face interpreter would be better. However, I think we should admit that there are certain situations in which telephone interpreting is more useful or is as useful as a face-to-face interpreter, and I'm going to mention 3 of them. One of these situations are emergency phone calls. When a person needs medical assistance or police assistance and calls to an emergency line, the only way to provide language assistance if this person does not speak the host country language is telephone interpreting. Another situation are telephone helplines. For example, here in Spain we have a special telephone line, the 016 for gender violence victims. When one of these victims cannot speak Spanish, a telephone interpreter is a very useful tool in order to provide her language assistance, and so she can communicate with the social worker or with any other professional. And the third situation in which I think telephone interpreting is very useful is whenever minority languages are involved. For example, here in the Canary Islands, as you know, we live in an archipelago, a fragmented territory, and sometimes it is very difficult to find interpreters with certain language combinations. So in these cases, telephone interpreting can be a very useful tool in order to get interpretation. The fact is that telephone interpreting is here to stay. So I think that we should make sure that practitioners get a specialized quality training before they actually become professional telephone interpreters. Thank you.